Hey guys, Gary with Door Closers USA. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to install our 9 1/16 inch by 3/4 inch door closer model on a storefront aluminum glass door. So here's the door closer we're going to be installing today. Here you can see it right here. It's the 9 1/16 inch by 3/4 inch model. So if you were to measure the center of this hole to the center of this mounting hole, that measures 9 1/16 of an inch. If you were to measure this center of this hole to the center of this vertical hole here, that's 3/4 of an inch. So that's the model we're going to be installing. And here you can see our storefront door. It is a commercial storefront door. So this is actually the exterior side of the door. Now, when it comes to storefront doors, although the door closer comes in what we call a tri-pack setup, meaning it can be installed on both sides of the door at regular mount, top jam, or parallel. Because of storefront doors, the configuration of them always being outswing doors away from the building, that immediately eliminates mounting this thing regular installation. So on a regular installation, what that is, you might see that on like a wood or hollow metal door. That's when the door closer body is mounted here and the arm attaches here on the pull side of the door. Obviously, with this being the exterior of a storefront door, you don't want to do that because you don't want people coming at the store when it's locked up at night and possibly tampering with your door control device. So that means for a storefront door, what you're going to want to do is you have two options for mounting. You want to be on the push side of the door, and you're either going to so that means for a storefront door, guys, you really only have two mounting methods. So you're going to want to be on the push side of the door because that's the side, the interior side where the door control device will not be tampered with. So the most popular is what we call top jam. That's when the closure body is mounted up on the head of the frame and then the arm mounts on the top rail of the door. That's going to be the most common method you see on these storefront retail doors. Another option is we can do a parallel arm mount where the closure body is mounted on the actual door, top rail of the door, and then there's a parallel arm bracket that mounts underneath here. So that's sort of the option as well. For this video, I'm going to do the most common option that you see, almost all the time, which would be the top jam installation. Okay guys, so for top jam, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to map out my mounting holes, and I'm going to do it for the closer body. So on top jam, like I mentioned before, it's going to mount to this top head of the frame, and using the instruction manual, the first hole, the center line of the first set of holes, is going to be 7 inches off the end of this frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out that first hole, and I'm going to line this up and then mark out the rest of the holes. I'm going to use the closure body almost as a template. So let's go ahead and do that, guys. So here's the edge of the frame. I'm going to hook that in there. Okay, so we got 7 inches here for the center line of the hole. I'm just going to do this so I can see it. Okay, so there's that. Now I can use my closure body as a template. Let me go ahead and do this here. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that, guys, right here. I'm holding it pretty much, I like to hold it flush with the bottom of the aluminum, because the reason being is some different door manufacturers may have different height top rails, and they're generally not that. Unless you have a medium or wide style, they're not going to be that deep. So I like to hold this flush with the bottom of the frame head. That way when we have the arm, we have plenty of room to attach it. So, okay, so we got 7 inches here. I'm going to go ahead and mark it here and here. And then I'm going to carefully mark this side here. Now from here, we can obviously use the self-tapping metal screws, or if you want to pilot hole these, you can do that as well. I'm going to go ahead and drill some pilot holes. That way it's easier for the self-tappers to go through. And let's go ahead and do that, guys. Okay guys, so I just got a small drill bit here just to create a little bit of a pilot hole. This is a 1/8 inch drill bit. right, guys, now I'll go ahead and hold the closer up and run the self-tappers in. Okay, guys, so we need the self-tappers. Let's just grab 4 of these, and then the closer body, and we can install it. Okay, guys, so now we can go ahead and drill our holes. I did run a self-tapper through here, just so that it would be easier to screw up once I'm holding the closer body up. So after my 1/8 inch pilot holes, I did run self-tapper through here. That would be easier to hold up. But one thing to note is when you do install the closer body, the 2 speed regulation valves, and then here's the back check valve. The single valve here is the back check valve. The 2 speed regulator valves here labeled L and S. You always want them mounted for top jam towards the pivot side of the door, which would be this side. So just make sure they're facing this direction. And now we can go ahead and attach this. Okay, so the closer body's mounted. Now we can measure for the arm. Okay, guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and measure for the arm placement. So the measurement you wanna do is it's gonna be 1 3/4 inches off of the bottom of this frame head and 6 inches over from the center line of this mounting screw hole. So let's go ahead and do that, guys. So the mounting screw is about right here. So 6 inches is right there. 6 inches is gonna be right here. And then we're gonna do 1 3/4 inches off the frame head. So let's see. Okay, that's about right. So that'll be the first hole right there. Right there. So now I'll just hold this up and kind of use it as a template. Okay, let's go ahead and drill those pilot holes real quick. Now, obviously, guys, for this portion, I'm going to be pushing on the door. So I actually have the door locked so that it, I can push on it. All right, pilot holes are good. Okay, guys, now that I got the pilot holes drilled, just to make it easier, I'm going to go ahead and run my self-tapper through. That way I can just thread this thing in really easy for the next step. Okay, let me go ahead and run it in this one real quick. Okay, guys, so the next step, what you're wanting to do is you're going to attach the arms so that it's lined perfectly straight with where you're looking. So it's completely perpendicular with the closer body. And you can go ahead and attach the screw to hold it up there. So I'll just thread this in here. And screw this in. Okay. Okay, guys, now what you want to do is we're going to pull this over to these holes. But you can see that right now we are not anywhere near there. So we actually need to unthread this rod here until we can get close. You'll know it's close because the arm, when you're looking at it, should be slightly over, about this much. Not a whole lot, just slightly over. Let's see where we're at now. Okay, that's pretty good. Let me go ahead and do a little more here. We don't want to do too much because it is threaded, but you want it in there. You want to have a good amount of threads on it. Okay, let's try that. Perfect. So that looks good. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tighten up this nut here. And actually, one thing to note too is I like to keep the screw head at the top. That way it's not fighting gravity. Let me go ahead and torque this up and then just use a wrench to tighten that up. Did you have that crescent wrench? Yeah, it's in that. What I'm gonna do now, guys, since we have the arm attached and it's the right length, you can see, we'll go ahead and pull this over and tighten this down first. So it is spring loaded, so it's a little bit, you can feel that tension. Okay. Okay, so now we have the closer arm on, and then last thing you want to do, I like to do this last so that this thing is lined up, but now we just are going to tighten up this nut here. There we go. Okay, so now guys, we can go ahead and test it.